folks, it's 3:43 a.m. and I'm awake. No idea why, but I am. But the roadmap has come out. This is the news for Train Sim World in July 2022. Hello folks, as we move into summer, we have a similarly British summer surprise for you coming from Rivet Games. Well, it's winter here. As part of the roadmap, we've asked the team at Rivet to tell you a little bit more about it. Also, we have good news on the Xbox jackhammer audio issue, an update on other things we're working on, and an introduction to a new member of the team, and a special development deep dive talking about how we develop gameplay for our routes. Enjoy. What's changed this month? As we announced earlier, the Island Line 2022 BR Class 484 add-on from Rivet Games will be coming to Train Sim World 2 on July 19th. Read on below to find out more from the Rivet team about the project, or you can find all the details here. It's linked to an article with not a lot in it, but there's actually more in the roadmap, interestingly. Various items have been removed from the roadmap as they've been released, including the Xbox jackhammer fix, Great Western Express, West Somerset Railway, and Northern Transpennine Preservation Crew releases, and Batch 1 of the Livery Designer logo decals. That's cool, that means there's more. New is the Island Line 2022 BR Class 484. This was kept as a bit of a secret. They did well. Earlier today, we announced the next add-on coming to Train Sim World 2 from Rivet Games Island Line 2022 BR Class 484. We asked Rivet team for details of what you can expect. There's the new trains sitting in the platform there. Is that St John's Road? Not sure. With the Island Line 2022, we're revisiting the true classic in Train Sim World 2, since the original Isle of Wight railway was under construction throughout 2021 to make it ready for the new Class 484 electrical multiple unit 2-car trains to be brought in. This pack comes not only with a new loco, but a major overhaul of the entire route. This will be a standalone route that doesn't require the original Island of Wight line. We have been working hard over recent months rebuilding the Isle of Wight Island Line, not only to include the changes made to the track in real life, but also adding in more detail and upgrading quality throughout the route. This includes more features throughout the stations, more scenery along the length of the track, a new signalling system, completely rebuilt platforms and raised sections to match the new train height, as well as several new interiors along the route which players can now visit. Another shot of the 484, and that's sitting at St John's Road Depot. New functionality developed for this route includes new arcing effects on the third rail, special effects for scenarios, and the scenarios themselves are more interactive than ever before. More details to follow in a later article though. There's one of the trains sitting on the pier. Because the route has a very low profile, it continues to use former London Underground tube stock that has been rebuilt as the newly introduced BR Class 484 to serve the Island Line. Rebuilt in a breathtaking level of detail, the train features true-to-life physics and audio based on recent recordings taking on the 484s in real life. Whilst working on the new Island Line, add-on Rivet team have also been making some small improvements to the original Isle of Wight Shanklin to Ryde route, with some art and audio tweaks to the original route, general bug fixes, as well as updating the water textures to the ones used in the West Cornwall local route. These are largely based on your continued feedback. And want a first look? Here's a helpful walk-around video to whet your appetites, and the add-on will come on July 19th. Let's watch Rivet's video. Looks pretty cool. There are 5 of these trains apparently. 4 of them delivered to the island and 1 is yet to be delivered. When they tweeted their picture yesterday, I have to say good mate British Ace was right on the money when he guessed it was Isle of Wight. PIS, good stuff. Sorry, I was trying to pick up the grunty cat behind me. She's not up for being on video today. Lots of active controls. Now, I know these trains are refurbished from the English D class, so I'm pretty sure we'll see these trains come out in Creators Club scenarios on other routes pretty quick. I know in talking with Jasper that Rivet did record the real trains on the island. So we should be able to expect decent sound. Of course, the Rivet Hate Club will be out in force even before having seen this, because they're like that. Oh, you're going to get a drive as well. I was about to say we're going to go through a red signal, but no, there is actually a shunt signal down there. Guess we have to wait for the rest. All right. Thanks, Rivet. Back to the roadmap. So, July 19th, like I said, Preservation Crew update. After the substantial update to GWE, NTP, and WSR, which seem to have been pretty well received, the team will be working on the next batch of improvements. You can see in the list at the bottom of the article what we're still working on. If you wanted to meet the Preservation Crew, blah blah, they did a 4-up challenge. Good. PS5 add-ons limit add-ons manager. This is one that people have been quite desperate for on the bigger console. Last month, we updated you with a potential solution for the PS5 add-ons limit, which would not only enable you to download all your add-ons again, but also potentially save on memory whilst playing. This, in turn, would reduce the rate of out-of-memory crashes, particularly those playing on 8th generation consoles or with lots of add-ons installed. Work is still ongoing. It's currently being actively tested internally before we put it out to our beta teams for them to try. Watch this space. Now, there's an interesting thing there, particularly 8th generation consoles. Does that mean it's coming to everybody? Consoles and PC, maybe? Have to see. And the developer deep dive making gameplay. I'm going to come back to that because I want to read you the news, and then we'll come back here. Because this is actually interesting, but we'll come back because some people aren't going to care. And we've got our new team member. We'll come back to him too. All right, roadmap stuff. DTG releases. Well, they're still talking about an upcoming German route and a US route. No detail yet. Other releases. There are forthcoming add-ons for teams being developed outside DTG. There's the Class 484 by Rivet, which we know about now. And that's listed as new. It's just appeared. And the DBBR 420 electric multiple unit, Hopstreck Munchkin Augsburg, developed by TSG. Now, this is an interesting question that I'll ask you, and pop your comments down below. Do you like this approach where we found out about this just before it's ready to be released, it's announced, it's done, it's on the way? Or do you prefer this approach, which has been on the roadmap for quite a while, and it's in development and it's happening, but we're going to have a bit of a wait? Let me know. I'm not sure which way I prefer. Maybe the surprise is cool. Core feature changes. Core features are larger projects. They've talked about the add-ons manager. This is good. Manual firing for Steam. Yay. And a PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 profile transfer. Miscellaneous stuff. Things that fall into no other category. Dovetail Live Rewards. Rush Hour passenger system for London commuter. Yeah, that's still a bit... needs people. Red light dispatcher improvements across multiple routes, starting with Rush Hour routes and Harlem Line. preservation crew. So this is stuff the Pres crew are working on. And this month they have included a scale of the size of the work. So doing a little bit of work on Scottish Commuter, a little bit of work on Hopstreck Hamburg Lübeck, including a timetable update. Medium for Rhine-Ruhr Austin. Small 2022 Baker Line timetable with 600 services. Small Long Island Railroad. And Long Island Railroad's coming for TSC. Huge Peninsula Corridor. Huge Oakville Subdivision. Tiny LGV Mediterranean. And things that have been removed from the roadmap because they've been done or not doing it anymore. Approved license brand decals for livery designers, so they've done the first lot. The large Great Western Express, the medium Northern Transpennine, and the tiny West Somerset Railway. The Xbox Jackhammer audio issue has been released. Earlier up it said it was going to the testers, and here it says it's released. Oh. Anyway, let's go back up here, because that's all the news. I have to say there's not a lot. But let's come back up here, because there's some interesting stuff here. Where did we get to? Here we go. Developer Deep Dive, making gameplay. In this month's Developer Deep Dive, we grabbed our associate designer Michael to discuss how we bring you gameplay options within TrainSim World. Read on to find out how we make training modules, scenarios, timetables, journey chapters, and more, particularly how we did it for Spirit of Steam. Take it away, Michael. First up, research and planning. So before we begin work in the TrainSim World 2 editor, we plan out the content we want to include. Once we've had a briefing over what the content is going to be included in the project, the team presents ideas for narratives and events for scenarios, what to cover in training modules, and specific service types for the route timetable. This is usually part where we come up with the names for scenarios, journey chapters, and achievements. Research is done to represent authentic experiences and engaging stories and events. Information is collected from many different avenues, so train operating companies, physical and online working timetables, tourist websites, for example, about the area, videos from rail fans, Dovetail beta forums and Discord servers. Once we have the initial ideas and research in place, the team branches off working on specific content. There's training modules and scenarios. With all our training modules, we aim to be able to teach the players the basics as well as any other specifics about the locos included. This proved to be a challenge for Spirit of Steam, and we had to try and explain not only how a steam loco should be driven, but including how they work internally too. With scenarios, we aim to give more narrative-driven experience than you will find in the route timetable. We work closely with the rail vehicle setup team to ensure that we have the correct startup and shutdown procedures and any information on specific features the loco comes with. All of our training modules are fully voiced, so we work closely with the audio team, writing up scripts to be recorded. Once we have all the information shared across the teams, we are able to block out our training modules and scenarios. A data asset is created, which includes the information on the scenario or training module, and this information will appear in the in-game menus. We use something called blueprints to build out the player objectives. Then, when combined, allow us to implement an early working version of the scenario or training module. We then include dialogue or voiceovers in the objectives blueprint. So that's one of these. Not much detail to see there because it's deliberately a bit fuzzy. Every week we review the content we're working on and give each other feedback. We then move on to polishing. This will include cleaning up any issues, adding in scenario-specific scenery, scoring, AI trains, and thumbnail images. Excuse me. Route timetables. With all this service data collected in an Excel document, the route timetable can be implemented. Again, it's deliberately just a touch fuzzy, but you can get a feel about what they're doing, I guess. The route timetable is a 24-hour version of the ones implemented into scenarios and training modules, meaning the service patterns need to flow correctly, and we keep track of every train. Since route timetables are 24 hours, we have to simulate running them, which is far quicker than testing them all for a whole day. Ensuring trains run on time, meet at station platforms or yards correctly, and leave and enter portals, amongst many other factors. And there's another picture from the editor on how they simulate the timetables. One of the challenges when working on these is you can't have any late trains, which can take many hours of simulating and tweaking, ironing out mining issues. Journeys. Journey chapters house all the scenarios, training modules, and the services in the route timetable, each chapter allowing for varied experiences. Spirit of Steam allowed us to explore this slightly different than before, allowing us to focus the player on knowing how to control the steam locomotive before offering them more challenging experiences as they continue to familiarise themselves with both locomotives. Scenario Designer is a task that can be either fairly simple or fairly tedious to implement. It all depends on the route. We aim to open up as many paths on the route for the player to take, keeping in mind we want to avoid causing obstructions or queuing at signals. So this is how they're choosing the paths for us to make scenarios with, I think. Sherman Hill and Harlemine are great examples of fairly straightforward routes to design and implement. 2, 3 up and down lines, lots of yard roads for variety. Spirit of Steam again was another challenge. There's a lot of route to cover, allowing for all manner of paths you can potentially take. In this situation, we review what paths are covered in the route timetable and use those as reference to implement as many paths as we can. There are quite a lot of paths in Spirit of Steam. From a scenario creator's perspective, it was pretty good. Michael will be joining us on Rollfan TV this month, which is in a couple of hours, to talk specifically about making scenarios. Keep an eye out on the weekly schedule. Team Spotlight Alex, this is the new guy. Each month we'll bring a new member of the roadmap. Does that make sense? And ask them a little bit about themselves. Maybe that should be each month we'll bring a new member of the team and ask them a little bit about themselves. That would make sense. And this month it's Alex, our new community manager for Train Sim World. And he was asked to tell us a little about himself. To start at the beginning, grown up in northwest England, but partly in Spain and Wales for a few years. Loved science fiction and movies, as well as creating artwork and being creative. I previously had a YouTube channel where I loved creating game content. I'll have to hunt that out. From there, he studied astrophysics at university for a year before switching to gameplay art degree and graduating last year. Also loves cats and very much planned to get many of his own someday. History with trains, well, if I read through all of that, it's essentially, he's ridden them. Okay, what are you enjoying the most about life in the Train Sim World community? Everybody in the community is extremely passionate. Well, that's one word for some of the more creative, gifted individuals, I suppose. But yes, a lot of people are cool, and some are interesting about the game, and they all want us to help Train Sim World to the best place it can, which is why I'm so excited to get more projects and fun events planned to give players new experiences. The community has also been incredibly welcoming. It is a pretty good community for the most part. What will your role entail within Dovetail? His role will, the Dovetail team is to join in the community and help the team create exciting new ways. It's basically the same paragraph as before. Describe yourself in 3 words: enthusiastic, compassionate, and dependable. And Alex joined last week's stream, so yep, they did an intro. Community improvements, we've covered all of this, I think, already. Actually, no, we haven't. This is different. Okay, let's talk it through it. So crashes on the rush hour routes. The current solution for out-of-memory crashes we're working on relates to the DLC manager we mentioned above. We hope to significantly reduce memory use within Train Sim World 2, as you'll have fewer add-ons loaded each time you play, meaning a reduction of out-of-memory crashes. It's particularly important for the older consoles and small PCs, I guess. In terms of progress since June's roadmap, we believe we have a solution. It needs to be comprehensively tested with both our internal teams and beta testers. There's no ADA yet, work is ongoing. Save game red light issues. Whilst not the same issue, we're bundling these together at this stage as they're in similar places in terms of investigation. We're currently working on a longer-term improvement for the dispatcher and save game functionality. Would look like, as it's looking at a case-by-case approach isn't feasible. And as with the add-ons manager, we'd rather work on a solution that will solve the majority of the issues at the source. Okay, and we went through this part of it before, so that is the news. There's a few interesting things in there. I'll scroll back up and leave you with a picture of the 484, wherever it is. There it is, that'll do. Sitting at, where is that? That's at, not at the pier, but the one after it. Pierhead or whatever it's called. Heading to Shanklin. Well, pretty cool. That's been the news for July. And as usual, I read this for you because not everybody finds the articles and the forums accessible or wants to be there or needs to have things read to them. So thank you very much and see you later.